This reorganization meeting of the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors, and also wish everyone a Happy New Year. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ms. Corporal, would you please call roll?
Mr. Kizak?
Here.
Ms. Payne? Here. Ms. Hannah?
Here.
Ms. Kane?
Here.
We also have Township Manager Ms. Tully Cools, Assistant Manager Mr. Vala, Township Solicitor Mr. Griffin is here today in place of Mr. Esposito, and Township Engineer Mr. Kessler.
Thank you, Ms. Corporal. The first order of business tonight is organization of the Board of Supervisors. And the first item is the election of a chairperson. So we'll accept nominations for chairperson, and I would like to nominate Anna Payne for chairperson of the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any board questions? Are there any questions from the public? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Payne.
Before we move on to the next agenda item, I just wanted to thank Supervisor Kizak for serving as chair. I know that the township has truly benefited from your leadership, and I can only hope to do my best to follow in your footsteps. With that being said, I'm going to ask for the election of vice chairperson.
I'd like to nominate Dawn Corporal as the vice chairperson.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Is there a motion to elect vice and a second? Yes, there was. Are there any questions? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the election of secretary. Are there any nominations for the secretary position?
I would like to nominate Ms. Hannah for secretary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none. Is there a motion to elect Supervisor Hannah as the secretary? So we had a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of appointing Curtin and Hefner as Township Solicitor.
I'll make a motion to appoint Curtin and Hefner as Township Solicitor.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seeing as there's a motion and a second, are there any questions from the board? Questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion to appoint Curtin and Hefner, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of appointing Paul Lang of Parlow & Lang as Township Conflict Attorney.
I'll make a motion to appoint Paul Lang of Parlow & Lang as Township Conflicts Attorney.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to appoint Parlow & Lang as Township Conflict Attorney. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion to appoint Parlow & Lang, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of appointing Dave Truelove of Hill Wallach as labor attorney. I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Dave Truelove of Hill Wallach as Township Labor Attorney.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, are there any questions, any board questions?
Just a question. So my understanding is the rates will go up about 2 to 3% next year for the labor attorney? Yes.
So I'm just here on behalf of Curtin and Hefner. Our rates are going to stay the same. I can't
Yeah.
speak to the rates for Hill Wallach as a,
Okay.
what they were versus what they're going to be.
You have the rates in your packet, and it reflects a modest increase.
Okay.
Are public? All those in favor to appoint Dave Truelove as labor attorney, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of appointing Remington and Vernick engineers as township engineers. I will accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Remington and Vernick engineers as township engineer.
Is there a second? There's been a motion and a second to appoint Remington and Vernick as township engineer. Are there any questions from the board?
And these rates are going up about 10% year over year?
That's correct. This year, we have a 10% requested increase for my main role as client representative and project manager.
Any other questions from the board? Mr. Kessler, could you explain a little more in detail about what the rate increases, what is causing the rate to be increased?
Well, each year we take a look at kind of the profession and our services for the township. As long as I've been with RVE, we've never requested 2 years in a row with a rate increase, but with the inflation over the past year and change, as well as the salary increases and competitiveness for the engineering profession, we have requested the increase for this year, just so we keep our talent on our team, continue to provide the services for the township that we would expect to provide for you guys.
Thank you. Ms. Teolikos, and we're going to make sure we monitor the cost so it doesn't overburden the budget.
Absolutely. We monitor and scrutinize the invoices monthly, and we will track it to budget, and you all receive budget reports monthly, so we'll be able to keep a close watch on it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of appointing Remington and Vernick as township engineers, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of appointing Phil Worsta of Traffic Planning and Design as township traffic engineer. I will accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Phil Worsta of Traffic Planning and Design as township traffic engineer.
Is there a second?
I second.
Seeing there's been a motion and a second, are there any questions from the board?
And this rate's going up about 7% for next year?
Correct?
And I don't think we have anyone from traffic here.
We do not.
Any other questions?
Ms. Teolikos, are those, the rates that are going up, are they comparable to surrounding townships?
They are. We did a review, sent that off to you all to, basically illustrate that we are paying the going rate
Right.
as compared to our neighboring municipalities utilizing different engineering firms.
Right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? No. Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to appoint Remington and Vernick, Phil Worsta as traffic engineer, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of appointing the township manager to the positions of treasurer and assistant secretary and chief administrative officer to pensions. I will accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint the township manager to the positions of treasurer and assistant secretary and chief administrative officer to pensions.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion to appoint township manager to the positions of treasurer, assistant secretary, and chief administrative officer to pensions, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of appointing the finance director as assistant treasurer. I'll accept a motion to appoint the finance director as assistant treasurer.
I make a motion to appoint the finance director as assistant treasurer.
Is there a second?
Second.
There has been a motion and a second to appoint the finance director as assistant treasurer. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion to appoint the finance director as assistant treasurer, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of establishing and authorizing advertisement of the 2023 public meetings of the Board of Supervisors. I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to establish and authorize advertisement of 2023 public meetings of the Board of Supervisors.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to establish and authorize advertisement of the 2023 public meeting schedule. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of establishing bond limits in the amount of $1.5 million for treasurer, assistant treasurer, and township manager for the faithful performance of the duties of said offices. I'll accept a motion.
Make a motion to establish the bond limits in the amount of $1.5 million for treasurer, assistant treasurer, and township manager for the faithful performance of the duties of said offices.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to establish bond limits. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of appointing a chairperson to the vacancy board for 2023. I will accept a motion for the appointment of chairperson to the vacancy board of 2023.
I'll make a motion to appoint Helene Ratner as chairperson to the vacancy board for 2023.
This is a motion and a nomination. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There has been a motion and a second to appoint Helene Ratner as chair of the vacancy board for 2023. Are there any questions from the board? Are there any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion to appoint Helene Ratner as chair of the vacancy board, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Consideration of approving the minutes of the December 12th, 2022 public meeting of the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors. I'll accept a motion for the approval of the minutes from December 12th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the December 12th, 2022 meeting, Board of Supervisors meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Couple seconds. There has been a motion and a second to approve the December 12th, 2022 minutes. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. At this time, we can ask for public comment. Are there any public comments? Come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Joseph Fitch. I live at 346 Wyoming Avenue in the Oakleyhurst section of Langhorne. We've had an ongoing problem since the, late 60s, early 70s with the water issue. And after 96, your predecessors devised this plan on trying to resolve the issue. And we have now what you guys call Delaware Park. I think the only reason it's called Delaware Park is so you guys can collect money from the federal government and the state. They turned it into this wildlife preserve or whatever they want to call it. And we're having nothing but issues with beaver cutting down the trees. There's all kinds of wildlife down there. There's deer down there. Our latest issue was yesterday. Somebody was hunting on the township property with a crossbow. The police department was called by one of the neighbors who was back walking with his children. Don't know if anything was done with it or not, but we've asked multiple times. It's a dead-end street. There's no room for anybody to park down there. There's been issues with homeless people sleeping back there, doing drugs, people going down and partying. We were told, oh, well, there's not enough calls to the police. We call the police, they come down and just kind of send the people on their way. We've asked, put up do not enter signs so they don't drive in there, drive on the park property. They don't cross a bridge that isn't made for their weight limit. Another one of the latest issues is the Wawa that was put up. Somebody cut holes in the fence, so now they can cut through there to get through the park into Wawa. They buy whatever, their beer, they go hang out in the park and leave the trash laying around. It's just nothing but a nuisance. Again, it's everybody that's come before you that's done all this stuff, but something needs to be done. Water comes down the street, as your engineer will tell you, water doesn't run uphill. They put the drains for where the water's supposed to go uphill, so the water lays in front of the houses. It freezes. Now we got to deal with ponds that go from one side of the road to the other side with driving. It's just, it's an issue. They were supposed to come out and do something, you know, when the property was being re-improved, whatever you want to call it. We said, hey, look, there's pipes here in the ground from the original homeowners to resolve this problem. Oh, no, we can't tie them in. You know, it would have taken a matter of adding a little bit of extra pipe and putting a hole into your drainage system. There's a retention basin there, never maintained. The drains, we have to clean them out as our neighbors ourselves because nobody comes and cleans them. There's a couple of the drains, and I know on my property there's sinkholes starting from erosion from the water running into the, you know, under the ground of these pipes. So something needs to be done. So I don't know if the chief wants to get involved with it. I've, you know, called a ton of times myself. They come down and, like I said, just send them on their way.
Well, we can certainly ask our engineer to address any water issues that you brought up. If you're talking about the fence that is a township-owned fence with a hole in it, we can certainly
I don't know
take
if
care
it's
of
the
that.
township. I called the police. I spoke to the new young Officer Amoroso and talked to the manager at Wawa. He was supposed to call his corporate people, but that's been a month and a half ago. And
Well, we can definitely look into those issues that are related to the maintenance of the property. This is going back a long ways. There were,
I have papers
some-
from the 70s
Right.
with the Army Corps of Engineers. It all started when 95 was put in, and I-95 Marketplace. They took away the pond. The township was sued, the state was sued, the township, you got away just barely for never maintaining the waterways. The state got sued for $1 million for not maintaining underneath a 95 bridge, which is terrible now, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the hunters came through, because I walked the area yesterday after the neighbor called. There was nobody in the park, there was nobody at McDonald's, so I don't know if they parked at I-95, well, I'm used to calling it I-95 Marketplace. If they came in through there underneath of the bridges, back to the streams, there's all kinds of debris blocking the water besides the beaver dam. You trap the beaver a couple times and supposedly are nice and friendly with it and take it away, and they just come back again.
the beaver issue is a real problem. We are aware of that. But let us look into the matters that are all maintenance related, and I would just encourage you, when there is any activity that you believe the police should be involved, to make sure you make those calls. It's very important to get that at least into the record, although, it's important
It
that
gets a little frustrating after 9 million times of coming to you folks and begging for your help and asking and pleading and everything like that.
Well, this is the first time I've gotten this
I
request, and
get
I've
it.
been here for 10 years. I'm glad to look into it, and if you leave your number with one of the folks in the back, I'll make sure you get a follow-up phone call.
Okay. I mean, I'll be more than happy to show anybody their issues. I've lived in that neighborhood. I'm 56, so 53 years. So,
And
I
I'd be happy
appreciate
to share my.
I'm sorry?
I'd be happy to share my information with you so we could set
we
a
just
time
need to
meet
do
and walk through
something.
as
I mean,
well.
you know, information has been shared. I mean, I could bring out the records.
No, I realize that, yeah, and the basin, that's a project we looked at recently, trying to get some grant funding to retrofit that one. Unfortunately, that grant application wasn't successful, but we continue to look at ways to improve that basin. But the other points, we can definitely set a
mean-
time to meet up about.
Something's got to be done, because all of the neighbors' leaves and crap like that flows down into the drains. One guy's got a pine tree that we've asked Asplon to take down. It's the ugliest looking tree on the street because it grows through the wires. Take it down. Nobody wants it there. The property owner was like, yeah, please take it down. Do away with it. I'm tired of using my own personal leaf blower and gas at $3 a gallon to go out and clear the street. I mean, you know, I try to help you guys. I plow the street, at least mainly for my neighbors. I'm not doing the whole street. But, you know, and whenever I get a chance, I'd block the park in with all the snow. You know, but
Yeah, let's definitely set a time to meet and we can take a fresh look at it.
absolutely.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll move to other business. Mr. Kessler?
I just want to thank the board this evening and wish everyone a happy new year. Thank you.
Mr. Vala?
Nothing. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Mr. Esposito, who is actually not here, but Mr. Griffin?
Nothing from me, but Happy New Year, everyone, as well.
Thanks. Ms. Teal-Equals?
I would just like to say thank you to former Chair Kizak for his great efforts over the last year, collaborating with our team and looking forward to working with Supervisor Chair Payne in the coming year.
Thank you. Supervisor Kane?
I would also like to thank Mr. Kizak for doing his best to bring me up to speed. You know, you helped me a lot throughout last year. You know, you included me in conversations, so I appreciate the work that you put in last year.
Supervisor Kizak?
Well, thank you, everybody, for the kind words. It has been a privilege and honor to serve as chair, and I want to say congratulations to our new officers, Chairperson Payne, also our new Vice Chair and Secretary, Ms. Corporal and Ms. Hannah. Good luck to the three of you. I know you'll do a great job, and excited to see the direction that you take the township. So thank you for assuming these responsibilities, and good luck.
Supervisor Hannah?
I just wanted to also say thank you to Mr. Kizak for all of your support and answering lots and lots and lots of questions. Thank you so much. I know that our township doesn't see all the hours that you put in, but you have done a great service, and congratulations to the other officers, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Supervisor Corporal?
I get to be a broken record. I want to thank Mr. Kizak doing a great job for our community and for all of us here on the board. And I want to congratulate you and say Happy New Year to everyone.
I'll make a quick announcement that the next Board of Supervisors meeting is Monday, January 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned.